Welcome to the Spiritually Lit meeting. Each week, we are honored to host powerful speakers from around the world, sharing their stories, experiences, and hope with us. All of our speakers are recorded and shared through our Inogram YouTube channel and our audio speaker WhatsApp group, so the message can reach those who need it. If you're listening to this recording and you're struggling, seeking help, or simply have a question, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can contact us anytime at spirituallit24@gmail.com, and we promise to get back to you. Tonight, we've invited Scott L. to share his experience for the next 45 minutes. After that, the meeting will be open for sharing back. Scott, we will give you a sign 10 minutes before your time's up. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making the time and sharing your message with us. And with that, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you.
You're muted again.
Yeah, I didn't do it, Your Honor. Hello, my name is Scott. I'm an addict, and I am so grateful to be here. I'm actually what they call tri-addicted. I'm addicted to everything I tried. Maybe you can relate to that. I'm just a pig. My drug of choice is whatever you had the most of, and it never works for me. It quit working for me, or I wouldn't be here. And so I would like to first say thanks to Chanel for inviting me. I appreciate it very much. And I like to open anything I do by taking a few moments to invite God to the gathering. That's not that I don't believe God's here. I do believe that. But special things happen for me when I stop and honor that presence. So in a few moments, I'm going to ask you to do that. Now, there may be somebody here that doesn't have a God, or maybe you got here like I did, terrified that there might be one based on what some very well-meaning religious people have told you. If that's your situation, allow me to recommend you borrow mine. I recommend him very highly. He's got a great sense of humor, been keeping me clean and sober for over 41 years. That's a long time for a guy that only agreed to 28 days of treatment. So something must be working. So if you don't have a God, borrow mine. Address him as the God of Scott's limited understanding to get you off on the right foot. And I'll meet you back here. Let's invite him. Amen. I'm not here as an expert. I'm here as a satisfied customer. This is just working for me. I'm not here to tell you how to do it. I'm telling you how I do it. And I think when I was new, probably the single hardest assignment I've ever been given is one day at a time. You know, it says in step 11, it says on awakening. I like to observe what it does not say. It doesn't say after shower and shave, 2 over Easy and bacon, a half a pot of coffee, and a fight with her. It says on awakening. I wonder if that's what it means. When I was new, I didn't have time for prayer and meditation in the morning. And I tried and tried. I just didn't have time. And I finally discovered I was working on the wrong problem. Problem wasn't in the morning. Problem was the night before. We talk a lot about doing the next right thing. I found the last right thing. The last right thing is for me to go to bed at a reasonable hour and set 2 alarms so I can awaken tomorrow morning in plenty of time to start my day on a spiritual basis and having had a full night's rest. If I don't do the last right thing tonight, I can't do the first right thing tomorrow. I was working on the wrong problem. I set my alarms 31 minutes apart. When the first one sounds, I take a quick trip to the bathroom. I hit the start button on the coffee button. It's set up. I just start. And I begin my morning prayer and meditation. Now, sometimes that other alarm, that 31-minute one, wakes me up. That's okay. It says sought through prayer and meditation, not achieved. And on those mornings when I went to sleep in meditation, I sought, and that's good enough. I had to learn to stop judging my meditation. I'm not qualified. It's blue collar. You clock in, you clock out. What happens in between is none of your business. And I was told also, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly as I learned to do it. So get in there and do a lousy job. I thought that was great. I'll tell you another one that was really good for lousy. When someone's balking at the 3 terrifying steps, 4, 5, and 9. I was just terrified of those 3 steps. Nothing could have been clearer to me. There was nothing I was more sure of in my entire life than this simple fact. Those 3 steps were designed to punish me for being the rotten guy I had been. And I was dead solid certain of that, and I was wrong. Man, we could go till dawn and not cover everything I was wrong about. I was wrong about that one. I got more growth from those steps than the rest of them combined. I mean, think about it on step 4. There's no surprises. I mean, you were there. We're not going to find something you don't know. So I tell the guys I sponsor, you have my permission to do a poor 4-step. Get in there and do a lousy one. Lousy one. Because if you have to do it perfectly, you can't pick up the pen. Assign yourself some time. I agree with them for usually 3 30-minute periods a week, something like that. And we schedule it, and you can feel good while you're in process if you do that. But don't do the perfect one. We don't give a trophy every year for the best 4-step, and this is the trophy you're not going to get. I don't know if you can see that, but you ain't getting it. There's no room for your name on that trophy. And what that means is you don't have to do a perfect one. So quit trying. If you're serious and you're going to stick here, in less than a year, you'll be taking a newcomer through this work. And when they go, you go with them. If we miss something before, you pick it up on the next trip. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Step 5 is where I started getting relief. Now, I'd been doing I'm going to give you the 2 best kept secrets in all of recovery. Here's the first one. The directions for doing a 4-step have been very cleverly concealed in the pages of this book. Whoa, who'd have thunk it? Well, the people that owned that treatment center I went through didn't thunk it. So I completed their alleged 4-step and went down to the treatment center. I did my 5th step with Bernie, who was a counselor down there. And I realized, see that 5th step confession coming. I think I'm going to have to tell somebody the whole truth, who to tell. Well, I look at Bernie, and he's a counselor. And I look at Bernie's face, and I say, he's also a junkie. His face is real relaxed. He's got this dumb grin. When he walks, he just sort of shovels. You know what it looks like when somebody's ripped. I know you do. I thought, I'll do my 5th step with this junkie. 6 weeks from now, he won't know what I said. He won't know if we did it. What a great choice. So I did my 5th step with Bernie, which is where I began to get relief, which is what the steps bring. They don't look like it, but that's what they do. And I got tremendous relief when I told Bernie, and I told him the whole truth. As an aside, Bernie was not actually stoned. He was sober over 20 years. That was serenity. I didn't know what it looked like. Because you should have this minor case of terminal newcomer thinking it's going to kill me really soon if I don't get some help with it. Anyway, just little things that were killing me. God and I have been arguing about money off and on for some time now. I've got several men, important men in my life, men I'm very close to, who each own at least one wristwatch with a higher net value than my total net worth. And I'm not kidding. I have made a lot of money in my life, and both of my former wives and their lawyers are just thrilled about that. But that didn't leave me with a whole lot. And God and I have arguments about that. And I've got this rat hole that I go down that says, why does he love these guys that much more than he loves me? What am I doing? And finally, I got to a new prayer. I thought, well, maybe I'm the problem here. So I added this prayer to my morning. It's been maybe a month and a half ago. Said, if there's something standing between me and financial success that I can move, please help me find it and move it. Or if it's something I can't, would you please move it? I prayed that for maybe a week. And then I got a whole new thing. And there was actually something new on step 6 and 7. And I didn't know that. I didn't recognize it for a month. And I haven't prayed the financial prayer since then. What I prayed was, God, if there's anything standing between you and me and a better relationship for the two of us, please remove it. Or if it's my assignment to remove it, please point it out to me and show me how. Because I want the best relationship with you that I can have. I came to you afraid of God's will. Some very well-meaning religious people have been trying to scare me into being a good guy for a long time, and I don't scare. Like most of you, I've looked death in the eye too many times. I don't scare. God's will. And it just didn't work for me. And some time ago, I was sitting by a stream, just minding my own, and I looked across the stream and I saw a cloud. And it occurred to me, every drop of rain in that cloud's falling God's will perfectly. I'm sure of it. And so's that tree, so's the bird in the tree, so are the little fish in the stream. Why can't I? And it was on me hard. If they can do it, Why can't I? I got my answer. The answer is I am. And so are you. I am convinced to the depths of my soul it is not my job to be perfect. If you think you're supposed to be perfect, I wish you good luck. You're going to need a lot of it. But if it's not my job to be perfect, what's my job? My job is to make mistakes. Well, they've sent the right guy. Ha! I'm good at it. And all my life, they've been telling me, well, we learn from our mistakes. Well, that's not true. If that's true, I'm not looking at anybody who's been arrested more than once. Good luck. No. People like me do not learn from our mistakes. We learn from living with the results of our mistakes. Yeah, an enabler, someone who takes away the results, thereby blocking the learning process. So here's the definition. A mistake, it's an invitation to a lesson. The evidence is, if I'd already learned the lesson, I would not have made the mistake. That's all it is. It's just a lesson dressed in its work clothes. And I don't have the power to make a mistake so ugly that God can't turn it into wonderful. That's who I am. That's who he is. It is that simple. So here's the learning process as I understand it today. 1, make a mistake. 2, be notified I made a mistake. I don't always know. 3, own the mistake. Yeah, fellas, I did that. And if they only know 80%, I got to tell them the other 20. That's how I own it. 4, consult a sponsor or some other spiritual advisor about how to 5, make the amend. Usually there's an amend to be made. 6, embrace the lesson. The lesson comes with making the amend, not making the mistake. I'm like the dog that went on the rug. What's he learn? Nothing. When does he start learning? When you rub his nose in it. Me and the dog prefer to have our nose rubbed in it. That's how we learn. So I embrace the lesson as I make the amend. 7, share the lesson. That's what really sets it for me. 8, when I share the lesson, I have to tell you I made the mistake. If I just share the lesson I'm preaching and nobody wants to hear it. If I stand as a sinner beside a sinner, he can hear me. 9, make the next mistake. I have no idea what God's plan is. I don't have a faint guess. I know what his will is. It's for me to make mistakes. That's it. And that has brought me a level of freedom. You know, we use the word progress all the time. Let me give you a definition. Scott's definition of progress. Progress is making the same old mistake a little less often, or making a new and finer quality of mistake. Anything beyond that's perfection, and that's not my assignment. Man, there is a freedom in that, but it's only half the freedom. The other half is you have my permission to make mistakes. That includes major political figures all over the world. That includes all the men I sponsor, all my family members. It includes my husband-in-law. Some of you are not from Tennessee. My husband-in-law is the man that's currently married to my first wife. Okay? It includes people who got their driver's licenses out of cereal boxes. Everybody has my permission to make mistakes. Because if I'm going to be upset by what they do, I'm a prisoner of their behavior. I don't want to be a prisoner anymore. So I've given them all permission to make mistakes. And those 2 things, I gave them permission to make mistakes, I gave me permission to make mistakes, have freed me at a level I've never been free at before. I've got something that's kind of attached to that. It sort of showed up at the same time. And that is that I have discovered the source of all of my anger. I know where all of it comes from. It comes from being sure I'm right. I never have been angry when I wasn't also absolutely certain I was right. And being right comes from having passed judgment. I have to judge to be right, to be angry. So anger isn't a problem, it's a symptom. The problem is judgment. Judgment is anger's grandmother, and it is the real problem. That's why I can't work on my anger. It's a symptom. Any doctor will tell you they don't want to treat symptoms, they want to treat causes. So I got to look at the truth on that. It comes from judgment, and I do not believe God wants me to judge. I feel very certain of that. So I added to my morning prayer. Bless me, please. I do not judge. I do not judge any people. That I see them as you see them and love them as you love them, especially the ones I find unlovable. Because the fact is, I have times when I'm unlovable. I don't need you to judge me. Then I'm probably doing that myself. It's when I'm the most unlovable that I most need you to love me. Must be when you're the most unlovable, you need me to love you. As far as judging events, I've had the privilege of taking weekends like this, only whole weekends, into Russia twice and Ukraine 3 times. I know both people on both sides of the war. I know them well, personally. And yet I can't point at that war and call it bad. I don't get to judge it. I can tell you I don't like it, but I don't get to judge it. Because for all I know, that war has turned more people toward God than all the churches in the universe. I don't know. And when I step out of the judgment business, it takes me out of the anger business. And it lets me have this sense of peace that I need. Because I can't carry a message of peace for the God of love while I've got anger. And I think that's why the forgiveness process is so critically important. My sponsor believed what it says on page 164, God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. And he added to the fourth step, to the prayer on page 67, where it said, we ask God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience we are cheerfully grant a sick friend. He added the prayer on page 552 to that. And I'd like to cover something here if my hands will start working. I tell you, growing old isn't for sissies, I can tell you that. If you're not tough, check out early. Believe me, it's not an easy assignment. Page 551. Lady says, one morning, however, I had to get rid of it, and that was a resentment against her mother. For my reprieve, that's a stay of execution or delay of punishment, was running out. If I didn't get rid of it, I was going to get drunk, and I didn't want to get drunk anymore. In my prayers that morning, I asked God to point out to me some way to be rid of this resentment. During the day, a friend of mine brought me some magazines to take to a hospital group I was interested in. I looked through them. A banner across one featured an article by a prominent clergyman in which I caught the word resentment. Let's look at the sequence of events. 1, she sees something about herself that needs work, not something wrong with her, nothing wrong with any of us. 2, she prays about it. 3, she gets involved trying to help somebody else. 4, her answer falls out of the sky on her. It's a predictable sequence of events. I've seen it over and over and over. And if you look, you'll see it too. And then it goes on to say, if you have resentment you want to be free of, now on page 66, we kill you with your resentments 7 times, literally. If you want to be free, it says pray for them. Pray for their health, their prosperity, their just all kinds of good stuff. Didn't ask you to mean it. You can't. What my sponsor explained to me is that forgiveness is not something you can do. It's something you have to open up to receive. That there are 2 types of verbs in the English language, transitive and passive. Transitive is something I do. I pick up this pad. Passive, something happens to me. It's raining. I walk outside. I get wet. Look up the verb to forgive in your dictionary and tell you it's transitive. Something you can do. It's not. They're not right about that. Forgiveness is a state of spirit, and I can't change my spirit. But I can open myself up to have it changed. And that's what this did for me. My sponsor said, what you really want is mercy for yourself and justice for everybody else. And the package is mercy for everybody or justice for everybody. And you are part of everybody and you get to choose. And I can't face justice. I've done too much. And when I chose mercy for them, I chose it for me. And this is how I did it. I just started praying the list. I prayed, God, help. First name on the list, George. God, please help me grant George the same tolerance, pity, and patience that I cheerfully grant a sick friend. So I'm praying for myself. God, help me grant him tolerance, pity, and patience. And then I add the prayer in the back. God, I'm going to pray for them. I pray he's healthy as a horse, that he doesn't go bald, that he gets promoted at work, he wins the lottery, he gets a new convertible, he gets a new mansion, he gets a new boat. His kids go to school on scholarship and don't give him any trouble. His wife's a fabulous lover and chases him around the house all the time. His lawn grows lush and green, but he grows so slow he only has to mow it once a year. But be creative. And I tell the guy I sponsor, I said, don't worry about meaning it. You can't. This resentment, this old anger is like ice around your heart. And the ice has a thickness based on how severe the events were, how long ago they happened, how much you've nurtured them. And what you're doing here is you're holding an icy heart up to the sunlight of the spirit. Sunlight will melt ice. The sunlight always wins. It's a question of time and effort. That's all. The sunlight always wins. And what happened for me was I went through that process and received the gift of forgiving them. Because you see, I'm only letting them off the hook. They're not on the hook. I'm on the hook. This resentment ain't hurting them at all, and it's killing me. And I'm the only one can let go of it. And I tell them too, if you have to begin your prayer by saying, okay, God, I don't mean a word of this, and I'm just doing it because that jerk old man in the ponytail and bow tie told me to do it, here it comes. Start that way. I have no problem with that at all. And I didn't ask you to mean it. I asked you to pray it. What you will find over time is you will receive the gift. That ice will melt. And all of a sudden, you'll really wish great stuff for this other person. Put a check mark. And as you do that, people are going to see a difference in you. You will become visibly different. And they're going to say, have you lost weight? And the answer is, yes, I have. Because that stuff's weighing your soul. We close a lot of meetings over here with something called the Lord's Prayer. And there's a phrase in it that said, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive. I believe what that says is, God, if I don't forgive them, don't you forgive me. I'm asking to be judged by my own standards. I have consequently relaxed my standards. I'm 82 years old. I shouldn't be stuck in this body a lot longer. On the day that I transition, I cannot afford for my soul to stand naked before my Creator, guilty of hating one of his other children. And it doesn't matter what they did. It does not matter. I'm not responsible for that. And by the way, I wasn't asked to approve of what they did. I got a lesson on acceptance. One of the things I've learned about acceptance is if I like it, I accept it automatically. You're going to let me in traffic? I accept. Pay me more money? Yeah, I accept. So if I have to apply energy to acceptance, it's for something I don't like. So quit trying to like something you're trying to accept. Acceptance has to do with the fact that I get a limited amount of spiritual energy on any given day. And if I squander it on things over which I have no power, I won't have enough left for my own assignment today. So acceptance is initially a decision not to waste my energy. Eventually, it becomes a way of life. And I just learned not to give it any energy. It's been an amazing transition for me. And it's been so good for me. It says on page 87, we pause when agitated or doubtful. Now, they don't usually read the doubtful part because as alcoholics and addicts, we're not often right, but we're never in doubt. But it says pause when agitated. I believe God's waiting patiently for me in the pause. Father, I'm angry again. I must have judged. Please take away my anger and judgment and grant me sadness and love. Because what I've discovered is that anger and love never travel together. They're mutually exclusive. They can't. They simply can't travel together. Sadness and love travel well together. I hear people using this. There are two things. We give love a bad name, and it troubles me. One of them is people use something they call tough love. No such animal. Tough love, every time I've ever seen it, has looked to me like unresolved control issues. It looks like somebody trying to bludgeon somebody else into doing it their way. And I don't think love has anything to do with bludgeoning. The other thing is when somebody says unconditional love, that rubs my fur the wrong way every time. Because I do not believe the word unconditional modifies love. Love is by her very nature without condition. And when you say unconditional love, you have implied that it separates it from conditional love. And I don't believe there's any such animal as conditional love. Many of us grew up in homes with conditional acceptance or conditional approval where the love should have been. But love is, by her very nature, without condition. And I guess I forgive the soapbox, but that's something that bothers me. So anyway, back to the Father, I'm angry and I must have judged. Please take away the anger and judgment and grant me sadness and love. When I go back into a given situation with anger and judgment, it's ugly. And I eventually make amends. And I'm not terribly fond of making amends. You probably love it, but I don't. When I go back in with sadness and love, it opens my heart. When I can go back and say, I have a deep sadness. I have a great concern. Do you feel how open-hearted that is? And when I open my heart, it tends to open theirs. And it works out so much better that way. That has served me well. I have used that many, many times. When I have to do something, say something that I think someone is going to have trouble accepting, I like to begin by saying, I have a great sadness. When I have to drop someone from sponsoring, Scott's 2 rules of sponsorship. If they're ready, I can't do it wrong. If they're not ready, I can't do it right. It's not up to me. That's rule 1. Rule 2 is I don't take credit for the ones that make it, because if I do, I get the blame for the ones that don't. Some of them are going to prison, some are going to die. That's it. I think there are 3 most important phrases a sponsor can use are: 1, I love you. God is love. When I give love, I give God. It is the highest gift. 2, I'm proud of you. I'm on a constant search for ways to tell guys I sponsor that I'm proud of them. Constant search. And I tell them too, you can beat yourself up right after I do it the first time and not a minute before. I've read that big book more than once. There's nowhere in there that lets me beat myself up, and I won't let you do it either. It's just the mistake's just the invitation to the lesson. Quit worrying about it. So I love you. I'm proud of you. I'll tell you my favorite one on the I'm proud of you is when this newcomer tells me he lied to me. I knew he was going to lie to me the day before I met him. That's what they do. Okay. No big deal. I knew that before I met him. So he calls me up on Sunday night. He says, I called you earlier today. I said I went to 7 meetings last week and only went to 6. I say, wow, I celebrate your recovery. How outstanding is that? I'm so proud of you. You used to lie for credit when you got cash for the truth. And here you are with something as small as 1 meeting. And you've told an untruth about that and you can't live with it. I am so proud of you. Look how far you have come. All right, 2 things. 1, that's all true. 2, his lie never hurts me. And 3, never again when he think, well, I don't need to call Scott about that. I know what he's going to say, because he didn't know I was going to say that. I've got a reputation as a very hard-nosed sponsor, and I'm not. As long as we're doing it my way, I'm a big piece of cake. I really am. So I think my first job as a sponsor is to coach him through these steps, or really to love him through these steps at a pace that makes sense to me based on what I know about his life. He's 65 years old, single and retired. I got a plan for him. He's 25 years old, got a wife and 4 kids, working 2.5 jobs. I got a whole different looking plan for him. So I need to know about the man. All right. So my first job is to love him through the steps at a pace that makes sense to me based on what I know about his life. No, I'm sorry. That's the second. Job 1 is to love him, period. Job 2 is to love him through the steps. If he can convince me that he won't let me do job 2, job 1 remains. Job 2 becomes to make it easy for him to come back. Because as important as the meetings are, they won't work. They don't work. The magic is in the step work. The magic is in the step where it digs the poison out of my soul. And the ones that don't do the steps don't make it. They're time bombs. And so if he can convince me he won't let me take him through the steps, I must first honor his choice. And second, I've got to make it easy for him to come back. And I will go to him and say, I have a great sadness. I'm deeply concerned. I hope what you're doing works. I don't think it's going to. And I can no longer wear the sponsor name tag because you're not allowing me to sponsor you because you're not doing what I ask. So I'm not your sponsor. And although you're in a fellowship of AA or NA, whatever it is, you're not in the program because the program is the 12 steps. The best kept secret in all the recoveries is on page 59, right before step 1, where it says, here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program for recovery. The steps are not part of the program. They are the program. If the steps we see on the wall were the whole program, we'd have a pamphlet instead of a book. So because you're not allowing me to take you into the step work, I want you to know that you've never been in the program. Because I hope what you're doing works, but I don't think it's gonna. And if it doesn't, I don't want you to sit on a bar stool telling yourself, well, I was in AA and it didn't work for me, because you didn't try it. You don't know if it works. And I'm always going to say, no, don't drop me. I'll do anything. I say, great, perfect. I'd hope you say that. The definition of anything hasn't changed, but I'll be glad to give it to you again. This is what I expect. This is what you're going to expect. I'll do that a couple of times, and then I'll make it stick. Because if I don't, I sign his death warrant. Because when he goes back out, he can sit on that bar stool and believe he tried it, and there's no reason to go back. And it's hard, it breaks my heart. I've coached almost all the men I sponsor through doing that at least once. They'll say the same thing. Oh, this is so hard. I said, you bet it is. It better be. Because what's wrong with you if it's not? Um, excuse me. Um, I'm covering things I didn't know what I was going to do here. People don't normally give me this much time to talk. I think they've heard me. I've got a kind of a double lesson that came. I was sober about 2 years. I was driving down a main drag in Nashville, my hometown, and I stopped at my fifth red light in a row. And I'm a type A person. I get in the car, I am going somewhere. I stop at that fifth red light in a row, and I'm just steaming. And I'm sitting there thinking evil thoughts about that red light's mother, when it occurs to me that it's at least possible that God's using those red lights to keep me from being in a wreck with a gasoline truck. It changed me that day. I didn't stay changed. With 41 years, it was easy this morning to offer God my will in my life, to offer him my day, come into my day, run my day. It was easy. You know what's hard? The individual moments. You know which ones are the hardest? The little ones where God's will's not being done. And it's, that definitely, we talk about having a good day or a bad day. I'll give you a definition. Good days, God's will's being done. Bad days, God's will's not being done. That's what it means. And when I have those little moments where my will isn't being done, instead of being steamed, what I'm trying to learn, and I've had some success recently, not total, but some progress, is to say, when a little bump happens, thy will be done. It says that in the book. I should say that many times a day. I need to say it when things are not going God's way. Thy will be done. And that changes what appears to me as a negative event into a positive one. And I'll tell you a story. I'm 82 years old. I've got a young girlfriend, for your information. She's 78. And we are having a wonderful time. And my home group meets Wednesday nights at 6. I live 2.5 blocks from there. I want to leave at 5:29. Puts me there at 5:30, a half hour early. That's how I was raised. She says to me one night, I'm thinking about buying a house in your neighborhood. I've got one picked out online. I'd like to go look at it. Can we leave early for the meeting? I said, sure, of course. Well, what I didn't know at the time is that leave early is not one of her settings. Anyway, we eventually find this house, which we knew it was on our continent, but we eventually find this house and immediately realize it won't work. And then she says, can we stop at the dollar store? I want to get one item. Part of my morning prayer, and it was there this morning, it's been there for about a year now, that I might be the man she deserves, that I might love her and cherish her and treasure her, be an open channel for God into her life and her an open channel for God into my life. I pray that every morning. And what flashed through my mind, I still want to be early at the meeting, but we're still going to have plenty of time. What flashed through my mind was, what would a man who treasured and cherished a woman say to that? I said, sure, of course. So I pull up in front of the dollar store. She goes in. I stay in the car. I'm in prayer. I'm about to be presented with a 24-karat gold opportunity to keep my mouth shut. And I better be prayed up if I'm going to be able to pull that off. So I am in prayer while she's in this store because I am ready to go to the meeting. She's gone, it seems to me, an inordinately long period of time. I'm sure it wasn't. She comes out of the store with this one item she went in to buy. I don't know what the item was. I can tell you it came out in 2 bags. I can tell you that about the item. And as she gets into the car, and I think I may be able to keep my mouth shut. She says to me, I'm sorry it took so long. There was a homeless man in line in front of me, and he had selected more items than he could afford, and I bought some of his items for him, and it took a little bit of time. And I said, that's one of the reasons you're sitting next to me. We pull up to the meeting. It still isn't meeting time. I'm still ahead of the meeting. We pull up. I got a spot right in front. As we pull up, I see a man I don't recognize walking into the church. My home group has got maybe 30 meetings, 30 people on a big night. I know them all. I don't recognize this guy. I get out of the car, open her door, get my big book out of the back. As we walk into the church, this guy I don't know is coming out. I stop him and introduce myself. He's a newcomer, and he couldn't get all the way in. He couldn't do it. I took him into the meeting. I introduced him to some people. I don't remember for sure, but I think there's a very good chance I gave him a temporary sponsor. I do that a lot. I'm not taking any credit for this whatsoever, and I hope that's what you hear. What I'm asking you to see, that God's timing was dead, solid, perfect. He had, what, a 20-second window to hit, maybe 30 max, and he hit it right on the head. Right on the head. How? By God's will not being done. At what time we left the house, how long it took to find that place to sit in front of that whole thing. God's timing is dead, solid, perfect. Now I offered him my day. Can I offer him my moments? Most especially, can I offer in the moments where it isn't going like I want it to go? Can I do that? And the answer is intermittently. but with some real progress recently on that. I'm really thrilled with the changes that I've had on that. It's been good. About 36 years ago, I was sitting at my desk one night, and all of a sudden I got a twinge in my lower back. Within 15 minutes, I was in pain I did not know was available. I did not know you could hurt like this and remain conscious. I did not know it could be done. The term is writhing in pain. What that means is the pain is so severe that you cannot be still. You have to keep moving to try to relieve it, even though you know you can't. That's what I'm in, being driven to the hospital. And it occurs to me, I could be dying. I'm 5 years sober. And at step 3, I offered God my will in my life, and I meant it. I never had offered him my death, and I could be looking at it. So I did. I said, Father, I'm not asking to go. But if it's your will, it's my time, take me. My fear of death has been gone since then. I checked again a couple of years ago. My best friend and I are both between wives, and we had these 2 ladies out on a date. I'm on a liquid diet now. I had cancer in my throat, and they did so much radiation to my face, they killed my jawbone. They had to take my teeth first. And this is all scar tissue. My epiglottis is buried in scar. And I'm on a liquid diet for the rest of my life, which is no big deal. I came to you on a liquid diet. It's just a different liquid. And but I found I can eat anything if I can grind it up fine enough and take a small enough bite and put enough liquid with it. And so I get this beef enchilada. It's real fine ground beef. I take a little bite, mix it with some iced tea. It's going good. And I thought, man, I bet I can eat a piece of cheese. Well, I lost that bet. That piece of cheese stuck halfway down, wouldn't go either way. And it upset my friends very much. What flashed through my mind was, well, I guess I'm going to die in a Mexican restaurant. So I'm pretty sure my fear of death has still been gone. What I discovered is that in our language, the language indicates that I am the body, you see. I am 6 feet tall. I have gray hair. I have blue eyes. It sounds like I am the body. I am not. I am the spirit that inhabits the body. If I think of myself as the body, death looks like the ultimate bad deal. As you may have noticed, death has a bad reputation, and it looks like the ultimate bad deal. If I think of myself as the spirit inhabiting the body, it changes everything. That turns death into moving day. Well, I'm going to move out of this beat-up efficiency apartment into a universe and more. They tell me that there's a storm on Saturn, on Jupiter, I'm sorry, twice the size of Earth. And I want to see it up close. I want to know why it's there. I want to travel the stars and the nebula. I want to walk through the pearly gates and hug my mother again and thank her for being a great mom. I want to hug my dad and thank him for all he did. I want to see all my great mentors who have mentored me in all these 12-step things. There's nothing to be afraid of here. Death was invented by the God of love, and it is therefore good. This is the same God who created smallmouth bass, vanilla ice cream, and sex. Good job. Thank you. Same guy. I've seen his work. I've seen it recently. And you know, it is, yeah, well, I'll admit that my pharmacist gets an assist on that. But his will and his work is always good. It's always good. And I am looking forward to dying. I'm excited about it. I think it's a great adventure. that little twist of considering myself the spirit and inhabiting the body changed everything. It changed everything. It changed how I look at those who have already gone. It just changed everything. I'll tell you a story, and this has been confirmed to me. This is accurate. There was a skydiver, and he was a Frenchman, by the way. His great passion was free fall. That acrobatics and tumbling and diving that you can do in free fall. And he did it many, many times. And he was approaching the drop zone at about 10 or 12,000 feet one day with a bunch of novices. And he was an instructor. And he was doing final checks on them and hit some turbulence and was thrown out. And he'd violated one of the rules. It was the big one. He's thrown out at 10 or 12,000 feet with no parachute. And he's faced with a choice. And his choice is to be terrified of the future, to place blame, to have a bunch of resentment and negative emotion, or to do the thing he loved the most for the rest of his life. I would propose that all of us were thrown out of the plane the moment we were born. Unlike the skydiver, we don't know when it's going to be over. We face the exact same set of choices. To be terrified of the future, to place blame, have a bunch of resentment, negative emotion, or to do the things we love for the most for the rest of our lives. It was necessary for me to do the work in the 12 steps, to dig the poison out of my soul, to find out who I am, to find out what I like to do for the rest of my life. That's what this whole thing is about. This is not about changing me into anything. This loving, laughing God who created the stars and the galaxies and the duck-billed platypus was not having a bad day when he created me. I was wrong about that. I always thought I was broken and no good. And I was wrong about that. Some of you probably were too. Yeah. So this is about me learning how to evolve into the man I've always really been. This is about learning to be real. It's been an astonishing process. My third sponsor picked up the nickname Rusty. At the end of his drinking, he was drinking mouthwash mixed with Kool-Aid, and he wet his pants so many times his zipper rusted shut. And we nicknamed him Rusty in honor of the zipper. And he had two pieces of wisdom I'd like to share with you. One of them, he said, I'm not responsible for what I think. I'm responsible for how long I think it. Can't keep garbage from showing up here. But when it gets dirty up here, I can sweep. That's my responsibility. I really like that. The other one he said was that no one's ever been put in an insane asylum for being insane. Never, not once. They put us in there for acting insane. Nobody's been let out for being sane. Let us out for acting sane. So on those days when you're crazy, if you don't act on it, they won't know. Don't tell them they're not ready. Pick up the phone, tell one of us we're ready and we're not all crazy on the same day. That might be the best piece of advice I ever got. My favorite sponsee phone call I ever got. I've loved this man for so long. And I don't think I can carry a spiritual message in a bucket of sewage. So I'm going to clean this up quite a bit. You'll get the general idea. But I pick up the phone and say, hey, he says, is today a good day for me to tell my wife she's an ignorant witch? I said, hold please. I gave him a 10 count. I said, I just checked today. It's not. He said, are you sure? I said, hold please. Gave him a 5 count. I said, yeah, I just checked you. I'm absolutely sure this is not a good. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. That's the entire phone call. This guy realized he's about to destroy his life. What's he do? He calls his sponsor. What happens? God reaches down to a guy like me and gives me the idea to give him a 10 count and a 5 count. And that's the whole conversation, and he does not destroy his life. God bless his sponsorship. So this is about becoming real. This is a photo I used to carry in my wallet. And when I was between wives, I had it blown up like you see here. And boy's about 4 years old. Sometime not too long after the picture was taken, some things happened to him should never happen to any child. Through the forgiveness process I talked about earlier, I've been emotionally disconnected from all of that. They're now just facts. I also live in Nashville. They're just facts now, but there's no emotion connected. through the ninth step, where I cleaned up my own mistakes, I'm no longer emotionally connected to the mistakes I made in the past. And I had that thing blown up, and I put it on the wall at the foot of the bed, and I didn't know why. And I was looking at it one night, and I thought, who would he have become if all that had not happened? Who would he have become? And the answer was, that's my assignment. It's my job to become the man he would have become. And the only question is, am I willing to do the work? I have been. The work's numbered 1 through 12, by the way. And let me tell you about him. He woke up every morning just excited to be alive. He was fascinated by simple things like sunrises and butterflies. He loved everyone. Completely unconcerned with his future because he had total faith in those who provided for him. He was in touch with his emotions. He never used bad language. He laughed easily and frequently. He was open to learn. He judged no one. He was happy, joyous, and free, living in each present moment as it came. And that's what you've done with me. And I'll never be able to thank you. I owe a debt I can't repay. And when one of the fellowships asks me to do something, if my calendar says yes, I say yes, because I cannot repay you for the life I have been given. We invited God, and I'm pretty sure he came. And I'd like to just say to him, thank you. This has been fabulous for me. Blessings upon you.